Hi everyone, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University.
Today we'll be teaching you how to play Beer and Bread, game designed by Scott Holmes and published by Deep Print Games.
Let's get to the game.
Beer and Bread is a card drafting and resource management game for 2 players. Each player represents a neighbouring village with a shared pool of farms. And through the playing of cards, we'll harvest resources, upgrade their village's capabilities, and cash in resources to produce beer or bread. Beer and Bread is all about balance. When the game is over, you'll total up your money from bread and your money from beer. The lower of the two is your score, and whichever player has the higher lower score is the winner. Setup is very simple. Each player chooses one side of the board, and the round marker goes on the first round. Choose a first player who takes the windmill. Shuffle all of the beer and bread cards into a single deck, and keep the resources nearby ready for use. Beer and Bread plays in 6 rounds, although you can think of it as 3 pairs of 2 rounds. First a fruitful year, then a dry year. A fruitful year begins with the seeding phase. Each of the 4 farms is filled up to the number of resources shown on the green side. If there's not enough of a given resource in the supply, place only as many as are available. Then put all water from the supply into the river. Next comes the card phase. Starting with the player with the windmill, each player draws 5 cards from the deck. Third is the action phase, in which players will draft and play cards from their hands. First, the player with the windmill chooses 1 card from hand and then plays it in one of 3 ways. These are to place it face up into a harvest pile to gain resources, into an upgrade slot to gain some ongoing bonuses, or face down into the bakery or brewery to make bread or beer. When you play a card for its harvest effect, place it into your harvest pile for this round, overlapping any previous harvest cards like so. You'll now gain the resources on that card and any matching resources on previous cards in your pile, taking them from the farms or the river. Here you would gain 1 water, 2 wheat, and 1 rye. If you then later played this card, you would immediately gain 4 wheat, and if the farm runs out, then simply gain what you can. When you gain resources, add them to your storage, and you have a total of 9 spaces for storage. If you gain above 9, then you must discard down to 9, choosing anything among your resources to replace. These discarded resources must first be offered to your opponent, and if the opponent has free space in storage, the opponent may take them. If the opponent doesn't wish to take them, or does not have the capacity to take them, then any excess are returned to the general supply, not to the river or farm. These rules regarding the offering of excess resources to your opponent apply in all instances of gaining resources in the game. The second way to use a card is to produce the beer or bread printed in the centre. Place the card on the appropriate slot, your brewery for beer or your bakery for bread. Spend the resources showing on the card, returning them to the general supply, not the river or the farms. At the end of the game, this will be worth the coins shown on the card. Then flip the card face down. Your brewery and bakery can each hold only 1 card at a time. Right now, this player is not allowed to play another bread card into the bakery because the slot is full. To empty the slot, you'll need to use the third action, upgrade and clean. To upgrade and clean, slot the card you're playing under your side of the board into the slot that matches the icon at the top of that panel of the card. Across the course of the game, you can have any number of cards in each of these slots. These cards now give you an ongoing benefit in the corresponding phase of play. Sun cards result in the card phase or when you're drafting cards. Sickle cards result either in the seeding phase or when you're harvesting. Sack cards give you storage bonuses. Chef hat cards give you bonuses when baking or brewing. Broom cards give you bonuses in this upgrade and clean action, and coin cards are worth end of game coins. After placing your upgrade, you clean your brewery and bakery, moving the scored cards into your scored pile, freeing them up for further actions. So those are the 3 ways that you can use the cards in the game. Now returning to the action phase. First, the player with the windmill plays 1 card from hand in one of those ways. The player without the windmill then does likewise. The 2 players then exchange the remaining cards in their hands and repeat. The player with the windmill playing a card, then the opponent, and then swapping again. Continue in this way until each player has played 5 cards. Then last is the windmill phase, where the windmill is handed to the player who has the fewest resources in storage, with the windmill changing hands in the event of a tie. You'll then move to the next dry year. You'll then go through the same 4 phases. For the seeding phase, you'll replenish each farm either by discarding down or adding up to the amount required for a dry year. Return all water from the supply to the river. In the card phase, each player picks up the cards from their previous fruitful year's harvest pile, making that the start of their hand. Then, starting with the player with the windmill, each player draws up to a total of 5 cards, and the next 3 cards are flipped face up into the dry year exchange slots. Then comes the action phase. In a dry year, each player takes a turn back and forward, starting with the player with the windmill. And on your turn, you have 2 choices. Either play 1 card from hand in the same way as before, or swap any 1 card from your hand with one of the 3 exchange cards and then immediately play that exchange card. Players take turns backwards and forwards in this way until each player has taken 5 turns. Unlike the fruitful years, players do not exchange their hands between each other between turns in the dry years. Finally comes the windmill phase. Once again, the windmill goes to the player with fewer resources in storage, or changes hands if tied, and then the 3 exchange cards and any cards from the player's harvest piles are discarded from the game. You'll then pass to the next fruitful year. After the 6th round, the game is over. Move any cards still in your brewery or bakery to your scoring pile and then count up your final score. Separately total up the number of coins showing on your bread and beer cards. Here it's 20 coins for bread and 24 for beer. Add any bonus coins showing on your end of game upgrades. Each of these will tell you specifically whether it applies to your beer score, your bread score, or gives you a choice. Here, for example, it's +1 beer coin for every 2 beer cards sold. Here, it's +1 coin for every 4 or 5 coin cards sold, with that money applied to its type of goods. And here, since I've sold cards with all 3 different pictures of bread, I get 2 bonus coins which I can apply either to the beer or bread, depending on which one is lower. Once you're done, your final score is the lower between your beer and bread scores. Whoever has the highest score wins. If tied, whoever has the highest score on the other type of goods breaks the tie. And if still tied, whoever finished the game without the windmill is the winner. And that's how to play beer and bread. We hope you enjoyed this video.
If you find this video useful, please help us by hitting that like button. Subscribe to us. You can also hit the meeple in the corner to do so, and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we have new videos. You can also follow me on Instagram for my board games journey.
Comments, suggestions and feedback are all welcome in the comments section below.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.